About 5.5 years ago, actually it was more like 6.5 years ago, our son Peter was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. And that was very difficult for our family to hear, obviously, and there was a lot of different emotions that ran through our heads in those first couple of months after he was diagnosed. But we wanted to give Peter some very positive experiences when we knew that he probably was going to pass away from the result of this cancer. And while we were in the hospital, I saw a television program on the news about an animal farm or a wildlife preserve called Sharkarosa Ranch up in Pilot Point, and we knew that Peter really loved animals, and you know, what 7-year-old boy doesn't love animals? So we decided that we would take him up there so that he would get a chance to see the kangaroos and to be able to see the camels and the different things that they had up there. So we called ahead and we told them our situation, that we had a son who had cancer and that we really wanted to have him experience what they had to offer, which was hands-on interaction with lemurs and monkeys and kangaroos. And they were really excited to hear about that. In fact, they invited us to come up on a specific Saturday, and they said they would give us the royal treatment, that they would have an opportunity for Peter to be able to play with the monkeys, get in with the kangaroos, be able to see even a behind-the-scenes tour, and possibly even go up in one of their helicopters to be able to fly around Lake Ray Roberts. So we did that. We took him up and we had a very enjoyable day. The whole family went, but Peter got really special treatment from the people, from Sarah and Scott up at Sharkarosa Ranch. They invited Peter to get into the pen with the kangaroos themselves, little joeys that were sitting in pouches. And they introduced him to a little albino kangaroo named Alabaster. And Alabaster had a deformed forelimb, and they told us that Alabaster wouldn't have survived in the wild, that this was a very special situation. And because of that, Peter and Alabaster formed almost an immediate bond. And Alabaster would let Peter feed him with a bottle. He was able to get in there and just spend time with him. And it turns out that he bonded not only with Alabaster, but with some of the other kangaroo joeys that were there as well. Over the next year, we went back to Sharkarosa many times, and Peter was like a member of the team. They would get him right into the pen with the kangaroos. They let the lemurs climb all over him. We brought family and friends up there to see them as well. It became a very special place for us. And even our son Nathan did his Eagle Scout project for them. But in the end, when Peter was, his tumor came back, he'd gone through a period of regression, or at least a period of dormancy, where his tumor wasn't growing. He was feeling pretty good, but ultimately the tumor came back and started growing, and we knew that his time was going to be really short. We had taken a trip out to California, and at the very end of that trip, Peter lost his ability to speak and to move, and we got him home just in time for him to be able to spend the last 2 weeks of his life at home and in bed. We knew that the people at Sharkarosa were following his blog, and when they heard that he was home and that he was nearing the end of his journey, they called us and they asked us if they could come and visit him and bring some of his friends to visit him as well. And when they came, they had 2 little kangaroo joeys in fleece pouches that they brought to him, and they were able to actually get in bed with him. And Peter, who had actually been very quiet, hadn't really done much movement, really hadn't done much attempting to speak, as soon as the kangaroos came into his bed, he became very animated, and his eyes were big, and he was turning his head to look at them, and the kangaroos were looking at him and shaking their heads and grooming him and touching his face, and we could tell that he had made a really, really solid connection with them. And that was within a week after that he passed away. So having him be able to having the people of Sharkarosa be able to come and be able to give him that gift before he passed away was priceless for our family.